we're going to talk about a big conversation that a lot of people get misled on and don't know where to start. And that is weight loss. So we're going to dive into this, some of the misconceptions, and how to really get yourself going in the right direction to make an impact. With that being said, first off is some misconceptions. I want to start with a story though. I remember meeting a gentleman, and I met a lot of these individuals. They would come to the gym and they would have this goal of, I want to lose weight. I want to see my abs again. I want to get shredded, right? So they'd come, male or female, doesn't really matter, but for this sake, it was a gentleman who came in, and he would get on the treadmill every time, and he would walk or run. And he did this because it worked in the past to lose the weight. And sure enough, he did lose a decent amount of weight. So you're probably thinking, well, clearly it worked, obviously. What the difference was is he looked emaciated as he went further into it. Looked very not good, very lost a lot in his face. Kind of going back to that conversation I gave on Ozempic, kind of that oh my goodness, are you okay? Are you sick? Are you what's going on? Would be like a response someone may have. And I remember the goal was to, I think, see his abs. And a lot of times, a lot of people get that because they think that if I go do cardio, that is going to be the way to lose weight and keep it off. And I think that's more of the conversation. It's about keeping it off. So the problem is yes, you can lose the weight, but it's going to come back. And your body will adapt to it. But to kind of go with this story, you got to differentiate losing weight and losing fat mass. So he lost weight. He lost lean tissue and fat mass. It's fine if you're focusing on fat mass, you can focus on a little bit more strategicness because you want to maintain your lean body tissue. Again, lean body tissue being muscle, organs, bones, are tissue that we want to preserve. But if your body's just losing weight, it's going to, especially when it comes to cardio, you're going to lose both. Again, going back to the calorie deficit, you created a calorie deficit based on increasing the cardio. And the negative to maintain that loss or to keep that loss would be with cardio is you have to constantly add on to it. I'll use a story I once heard by a trainer, and I thought it drove the story home well. The point home well, I mean. Think of using cardio for this goal just like a car. Let's take a gas guzzling diesel engine F-250. This truck gets not many miles to the gallon. But if a car could adapt, like your body does, to what it's given for miles, that truck, that diesel engine, would eventually adapt itself to being a Mustang V8 to V6, V4, and eventually it would get down to a hybrid car where it's using less gas, and eventually it would become a Tesla. Or pick any electric vehicle. It has become more efficient with energy use. Again, this is not me promoting an electric vehicles. This is an example, people. Don't blast me in the comments for using, he's all for electric cars. But get the thought that the vehicle becomes more efficient. It uses less and less for the same amount of miles. So with cardio, your body will adapt Because again, our bodies are built to survive. It's going to alert as you're going for, because think about when someone in the past would go for weight loss. One, it really wasn't a thing, because before we didn't have that many people. It was less likely someone would be overweight prior to modern civilization. So normally when food was scarce, if the body notices that it's not getting anything and starting to lose weight, the body is realizing, something's going to happen, we're going to die. I'm simplifying the actual process, but the body's response is going to want to slow down the metabolism so that we can be more efficient. So the thought is to be more efficient. So cardio would be eventually not very useful into the goal of maintaining. And the problem is normally a lot of times when people, whether they go, okay, I'm enough of this, I lost the weight, blah, 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 let's move on to something else, they're going to gain the weight back because it's a manual loss, because you're pushing the lever with cardio. You're just increasing it, you just have to constantly increase it. You're just eventually going to run out of time, or you're just going to get sick of it, and you're going to gain weight back, normally double, because with most people, when they gain weight back, when you see someone lose weight and they gain a lot of it back or gain the same amount, they typically gain a little bit more. And the problem is now you're more unhealthy, because remember, we lost equal fat mass and lean tissue mass. But when you gain the weight back, you don't gain back lean tissue mass, you gain back the fat mass. So now we have more fat mass than you were before, and now we're in a worse health situation for blood markers, for everything. So I'm driving that because that's going to stick with any of these like common misconceptions and directions a lot of people go with going towards weight loss. And another one that kind of should be number one is the misconception I kind of went through, is it's about weight loss in general versus actual fat mass, losing body fat. A lot of times I would get a client coming in when I was managing at a gym. They would come in and they would talk about losing weight. And I think the conversation that should be given, I wish I started doing this later on, giving asking them, do you mean specifically fat loss? Correcting that into that direction, because that's a misled information. I just want to lose weight, because then the hard part is a lot of times people will be like looking at the scale only, and that's their only matrix. So many people come to the gym and they just weigh themselves, and that's the only matrix they go off of, versus also factoring all the other pieces, which is another misled thing. We focus heavily, hyper-focus on the weight. So it's not just about the weight. It's about so many other pieces to the puzzle that we'll get into. And then I think another piece to that is your common thread is that people will go, okay, well, I just need to eat less, or go on to some crazy diet. And some of you are going like, dude, you just said before in a video that in order to achieve weight loss, body fat loss, you have to go into a calorie deficit. So aren't you have to countering what you said before? Sounds like it, right? A lot of times people want to start out just dropping mass amount of calories that they don't even know where they're at. They just follow this bogus diet that they found online, or that they were encouraged to do by a family member or a friend. Like said before, I said about a family member using the Atkins diet, that using fad diets is not going to work. We got to go back to trying to find what's appropriate for that individual diet-wise. And before you even go into cutting calories and trying to eat less, you need to track. That is where I'm going with that. Not that you won't eventually go for less calories potentially, but the first point is to track. Find out where you are. So those are some of the like misled information, and I'll get to some of the other ones here in a moment. Another thing that's kind of misled information for outfit change. Misled information is the idea that with your diet you should just cut carbohydrates. That kind of goes back again to the thought of the keto diet and things like that, or Atkins diet that has been out for years. That is an option for some people that it could potentially work for. If you want more on that, just check out those conversations that I had specifically on fad diets. But with diet, it's so again personalized, individualized. It may or may not be useful. Someone may not be better off cutting the carbohydrates. They may need to cut somewhere else. End result is, again, we're getting back to that thought of like a calorie deficit. We got to find out where you're at, though. If you don't know where you're at, you can't really truly be on a calorie deficit. You don't know where your starting point is. You're just pretty much shooting blind. So let's get into what someone should do, where someone should go with trying to reach this, as we're going to term it for the rest of this time, a fat loss journey. Because again, we want to maintain the weight of lean mass and reduce the fat mass. Anytime you go and lose weight, you are going to lose some lean tissue mass, but the goal should be to retain as much as possible. Some of the ones that do this really, really well, even though I know this can be a whole nother topic, is professional bodybuilders. A lot of the ones who really excel and do well at it are able to retain their muscle mass or lean tissue mass while losing fat mass pretty well. And it comes down to, again, that diet is a big piece. Something that really is going to help